consortium of African and European partners that are working hard to build the first transcontinental network academy for African and European digital innovation hubs. But of course, our activities do not exclude startups or innovators that are also developing solutions to support local innovations in various countries or communities. And that is why some of you, even though you don't run innovation hubs, are here, because the activities of the innovation hubs are also just supporting you. So we are basically working in 3 dimensions. Number 1, to facilitate local knowledge and experience sharing, drive the development of mutually beneficial partnerships, to support the creation of collective projects to boost the digital economy, thereby empowering the youth and women who are working on innovation and growth. So this is kind of a map of the consortium of the Africans and then Europeans. So you can see that on the screen. For those who are probably not seeing the screen, there are 4 partners in Africa and then 7 others in Europe that are doing this. We have the whole project broken into 5 different phases. In fact, the number of these phases have already been worked on. As you might have seen earlier, we started way back in 2021 to work, and then the project is ended in 2024. And so now we are working more in the phase 3 and part of the phase 4. And so it's more of the implementation phase where a lot of webinars, local workshops are happening. These are some of the a breakdown of the activities that are ongoing right now. We organized 12 local workshops, and this is one of them that is happening in Akure. 3 of them have already happened in Ghana, some have happened in Tanzania, and then in Uganda. Also, we've also already had the international brokerage event that took place in Bologna, Italy. But we are going to have 4 more boot camps, and with that one, we will invite all of you to go to the respective locations, because one is going to happen in Ghana, and then another in Akure. There will be one in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, and then one in Uganda, where we will bring together innovators that are going to co-create solutions that we think are relevant to solve the problems in their community. And we are also looking forward to the final capitalization events that will kind of bring everything together, and people will be able to share the benefits derived already from the project and how we can carry on the legacies of this project that we also look out for. Now, for the thematic areas that all activities are focusing on, we're looking at a common digital market and then connected startup ecosystem, both in Africa and then in Europe. And then we are also looking at for the 2050, you know that increasingly that's what is really mean is AI, right? And then we are also looking at business and investment opportunities in the African market, and then how we can scout for digital entrepreneurs and startups in the African market. So that's kind of the focus of all the activities that we are undertaking. And this is giving details of the networking academy events. And I know that there are a number of you that have been participating in the webinars and local workshops virtually. For those who probably this is the first time you are attending one, when you go to our website, african.eu.eu, you have the calendar there and then the updated dates, so you can always register and join activities. And then please also share with your network so that they can also benefit from it. So essentially, our events are free to attend, and we want you to also subscribe to our newsletter so that you get updated information in the digital ecosystem in Europe and then in Africa. And at this point, I wish you all well and say enjoy the local workshop today, and please contribute and learn.
From today's workshop, we're talking about the technology transfer. So if you could just briefly share your expectation from the workshop.
I'm Mohamed Obari, that's the student of the University of Technology Akure, the project manager. My expectation from this workshop today is probably to get an overview about technology transfer, learn more about innovation and how we can help sponsor innovative projects on our own and promote it in the ecosystem.
In the ICT space for many years now, and there's no better person to take us through the legal framework for technology transfer and just introduce us into the concept of technology transfer. Please let's put our hands together to solve the conflict.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. Okay, I'm not sure, well, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's an amazing opportunity, and being part of the people that concepted the idea of the Akure Tech Hub. It's a privilege again to be here in this space and to see that it's being put to very good use. Unfortunately, this is what you get when you invite a 40+ person to give you a presentation. Unfortunately, I have not been able to fix my PowerPoints, so I have a PDF which I've shared with the rest of the listeners and the attendees, and I'm going to basically speak to that document. I hope that's okay. I believe most of the people here are Gen Z, so I have to apologize on behalf of my own generation. But this topic is very, very interesting. And when it was first given to me, I was a bit iffy about the whole idea. But with more thoughts, I realized that the whole concept of the Akure Tech Hub speaks precisely to what this topic is about, which is technology transfer. And why do I say that? Technology transfer is a concept which is a process of conceiving new applications for existing technology. Now the key here is existing technology, because basically we are not trying to reinvent the wheel, but what you are doing is adding value or creating more value to an existing product, technology, or service. Therefore, we can say it's a process of applying known technology to new and novel applications. Now again, I'll bring it back to what we try to achieve with the Akure Tech Hub again. I remember when we had the first Akure hackathon to launch the Tech Hub. One of the winners, or not one of the winners, the winner of the inaugural hackathon here is a company called TrepLabs. Now TrepLabs is working in the space of medical technology. And one of the products which they're particularly known for today is an intravenous monitoring system. So this is something that monitors the drip system when an IV is actually put into a patient's body. Now we all know that intravenous injections is not new technology, right? However, the added value here is the technology that helps in monitoring the flow of the drip system into the patient's body. Now, why is technology transfer important? It's important because it promotes scientific and technology research. Again, why are we here? We're the campus of the Federal University of Technology, Akure. The Tech Hub is a partnership between FUTA as well as Emerging Communities Africa, which is the, how should I say, well, I say the technical partner as it is in this case. Now, why does it again speak to the technology transfer? The intrinsic part of that is what we understand as research. And what is the primary responsibility of an academic institution or academia? It is research, believe it or not. There's so many ancillary activities that go on campuses. You as students, or some of you as students, might be confused sometimes. You say, well, you know, there's a different dimension to lecturers and receiving lectures, but the primary responsibility of academia, which is university in itself, is research. And the effect of that research, or what comes out of that research, ideally should be innovation, should be cutting-edge technology, and should be things that when the process of technology transfer is fully actualized, the things that the innovation that comes out of this research is what we then share and then see how it can be commercialized. Now, when it's commercialized, we start talking about things like patents, because you then register, you have the opportunity to register what you know as your intellectual property of that actual product or service that has come out of that research. Why is technology transfer relevant? Because it innovates and improves products. Now, one of the things I put as an example is when we look at people with disabilities, for example. I hate to use a foreign example, but in this case, that's what I would have to do. There's something called the cochlear implant, which brings sound and language to thousands of people through an electronic device, which was developed at the University of California. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know how many students of FUTA are here today, but I'm pretty sure that there's some really, really cool innovation that is happening on campus today, or within this university community. I recall that there was a space project. Is anybody here from FUTA, by the way? Sorry? Sure, let's see. Okay, so about 4 people. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I know that there was a participation of FUTA in the recent, well, not so recent, maybe about 3 years ago. There was a space program, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct, right? Okay, so I'm not really talking from my shoulder. So yes, that's what we consider as technology transfer from the academia perspective. I remember, so I used to work for Cisco Systems a while back, and one of the things that was ingrained in our knowledge at the time when I was going through what we call the Cisco CSAT program was the fact that there were 2 Stanford University professors who actually created what today we know is networking, right? So without those 2 professors, what we have as communication between devices, which we've seen that's iterated from Web 2.0, Web 3.0, to, I don't even know which web we are on today, but without those 2 university professors at Stanford, there will be no networking as we know it today. So the academia is an extremely important part of the technology transfer process. Let me speed up a bit. So when we look at the instruments of technology transfer, so I'll skip forward. One of the important things which also speaks to the legal aspect of it is licensing. Now, what is licensing? Licensing is an agreement between the owner of the technology and the receiver, who is the licensee. Now, what this does is it gives the right to use the technology developed or owned by the individual or company for a specific period of time. I think what can help us is to look at something as basic as in the fast-moving consumer goods space. So we all know Domino's Pizza. We all know KFC, right? There's a KFC in Akure today. Thank God for that. Some of us that like KFC. Okay. Now, whoever is operating that KFC in Akure today has no direct relationship with Colonel Sanders, who founded KFC in the US, God knows how many years ago, right? But what they've done is to confirm that recipe of making that delicious chicken that we all love so much. Does anybody here like chicken or not? This is a very, very difficult crowd. Nobody likes chicken, but I do, right? What they've conveyed or confirmed onto the licensee, in this case, which is KFC Akure, is the recipe, which is the secret ingredient. Now, if we flip that back to technology that we're talking about, right? It means I created a product that everybody now uses. Take, for example, Microsoft. Although Microsoft business model, I don't believe they're going to license anybody to use. I mean, theirs is a different model. You are licensed to use their technology, but not necessarily to pass it off or white label it, right? So there's a bit of a difference. But the ideal of where we're going or we're speaking to today is a situation whereby there is a technology that we develop and create as a community today, as we're speaking in Akure. And the ideal scenario where we want to get to is where I'm able to license that product or service, technology driven, within Africa, or let's even start off within Nigeria. Because the effects on the economy, I think it's unbelievable what it will do to an economy to have such business opportunities. Another way is joint venture agreements, which means that a company has an agreement with a particular business with a vision to incorporate long-term cooperation between parties. The motivation of all participants in this transfer is to incur low costs as opposed to working independently. So what we're trying to do here is working and leveraging on the strengths of two different parties. You, for example, madam, you might be very good with hardware, right? The gentleman sat next to you in this Blazers t-shirt might be a very good programmer. However, for him to write his programs, he may require some level of hardware to enable him to achieve that required result, right, for a great code. Okay? So what we do in joint venture partnerships is to marry the both of you, not legally, I don't know if you're married yet, right? But to enable you leverage on each other's strengths and also to reduce your cost of operation. Now we also have what is the OEM model. So an example of an original equipment manufacturer would be Cisco, for example, who makes switches, routers, or to Intel, which makes chips, right? Again, what would typically happen is an Intel or a Cisco would, Cisco I think I know a bit more about than Intel, would ordinarily license a manufacturer, another manufacturer, right, with their switching technology, and I believe this happened with, can't remember the name of the company, but I think it was Force. But anyway, a switching company, and say, well, we own the patent for switching, right? To enable us get more money from this, what we're going to do is produce switching devices for you, and you can then call it, we as Cisco produce the switches, yes, but you can, to extend our market reach or to extend our commercial activities, what we'll do is enable you to call it whatever you want. So we are producing the switches for you, but the marketing side of it, the go-to-market, the customer acquisition and retention, that's all you. So you can decide to call it, sorry, what's your name? You can decide to call it Tekitoke switches, right? Maybe because you have a good relationship with some XYZ customer, some country, or some emerging market, or something like that. So that's what we call the OEM model. How am I doing with time? Okay. Well, so I think I just want to speak a little bit quickly to this. The importance of technology transfer cannot be overemphasized. Cannot be overemphasized, especially in Nigeria of today, because we are at a critical point in our technology journey where we need to start taking ownership of certain parts of our technology. Thank goodness we have the NOTAP as the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Production, is that correct? But NOTAP, anyway, there's a NOTAP Act of about 10 years ago, or 14 years ago, by the federal government of Nigeria, which set up an office under the Ministry of Communications and Technology. And the job of NOTAP is to basically evaluate, encourage the technology acquisition within the country. Now I know that there are a lot of things going on within our ecosystem, right? A lot of startup organizations. However, we are yet to begin to leverage on things like technology transfer that I've spoken to, which is the reason why, we have people doing a lot of interesting things around applications now, whether it's solutions for ERM, whether it's solutions for, ERP, whether it's solutions for hospital management solutions. However, we still find that we rely very much on imported technology. Whilst there's nothing with that, but it comes at a very huge cost, especially when it comes to licensing. I know as a Ondo State government, I know how much it costs us, for example, to maintain my email example, for example, look there, I think we'll be at ondostate.gov.ng. I know how much that costs the government every year. Now imagine that at the federal level. Now, if we put in place certain guidelines, certain systems, certain structures that encourages the development, adoption, and scaling of our local technology, I'm sure we can all imagine what that would turn to in terms of cost savings to us, not only as a country, but as a continent in Africa. Economic experts have long recognized that the transfer of technology is at the heart of the process of economic growth, and the progress of both developed countries and developing countries depends on the extent and efficiency of such transfers. In recent years, economists have come to realize or rediscover the important effects of international technology transfer on the size and patterns of world trade, which I believe we can all say that we are at a disadvantage as Africa and as Nigeria as far as that is concerned. It should be of interest, however, that in Nigeria there exists a considerable amount of knowledge and technology together can enable development and can spark and contribute to business processes. What we need to do is promote a mechanism for executing technology transfer between the stakeholders in order to ensure increased economic advancement. Thank you very much.
In Nigeria, there's considerable amount of efforts have been made to promote technological innovation as well as technology transfer. But in our educational system, there have been little or no improvement, especially at the federal level, in order to incorporate the necessary tech skills and knowledge into our curriculum. So, for the fact that we are moving to the tech age, what can we actually leverage on, or how can we promote tech innovation and technological transfer in our schools?
Okay, thank you. It's a very difficult one. The reason why I say that is because you can sit down, unless you would like to stand. Because you said something very important, which is the curriculum, right? Now, the curriculum is not developed by Ondo State government. example, right? Universities have sort of quasi-autonomy, and the Nigerian National Universities Commission and what have you are the ones who actually have input into what or guidelines into what the curriculum should be. In my opinion, there are a few ways around fixing this. Now, as I said, universities have a level of autonomy. Now, what they decide to do with that autonomy is a different ballgame entirely. I was reading something yesterday which I found very interesting. I don't know how you found it, but there was a big tweet about LASU making bread, and that was seen as groundbreaking and innovative. I'm sorry, but I'm not sure that that's the responsibility of the university, and that's not groundbreaking technology, right? So it beholds on the university community, which we enjoyed when we set up this place where we're standing today, the Akure Tech-Hub, to leverage on their own infrastructure, leverage on their own assets. I'm sure there are over 15,000 students in FUTA today. There's a reason why we're here. It's because we want that partnership, right? To be able to leverage on the fact that we have students, create this environment which, when I look at it today, is smaller than what we envisaged. And hopefully we can actually grow and expand. So to answer the question, I think we need to continue to increase those partnerships between private sector, government, who is an enabler and will always be an enabler, and the academia, because there is no technology transfer, there is no innovation that is going to be successful without involving the academic institutions. So I hope that answers. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I think sure. Anybody?
Thank you very much, Mr. Olumide. So, next on the agenda is a 5-minute leg break. Do we need the leg break? A number of us need short terms. But yes, we just take a 5-minute leg break, meet people that you haven't met before, that you're meeting for the first time. But yes, we just take a 5-minute leg break, meet people that you have.
It's actually beautiful. I tell you, I mean, it's one of the things that revive my admiration.
Third group online, we're going to be discussing the motivations and benefits of the technology transfer. For those online, please drop your comments in the chat. We have Eniola Oni, who's going to be collating what you believe are the motivations and benefits of technology transfer. The idea is we want to get everybody's understanding of what the technology transfer process is all about, and things that can motivate the technology transfer being successful within a system, and also the benefits of the technology transfer. And I think based on some of the things that Mr. Olumide had presented, you'd be able to prefer good solutions. We'll come back in 20 minutes to present our findings. So all these findings are going to be documented, and one of the things that we're putting together at the African EU as part of the outcome of conducting this project. So group 1, decide who your leader is going to be, because somebody's going to have to present at group 2. And for our participants online, we're going to take all of your findings, your contributions, and Emiela will make the presentation on your behalf. So your time starts now.
I know there are so many right now. People are coming with different ideas. And one of the things that can actually inspire your ideas is that when you have to do partnership collaboration, because you have to kind of do that.
Good morning, everyone. Can anyone hear me?
One of the benefits that what I would like someone taking notes for your group, what you guys are
finding ways to make things better. From human beings to have a writing bicycle, was to now write cars, was to now write I created this kind of project. I don't know where to come here. You like want to now make it into your Chinese company or license it, then you have to ask for permission. That's when they explain that I could have this as my own make it new that has a big now.
Read off from very standard. I intend in a corporate organization. Okay, I'll just give you a brief experience. I think yesterday we were having to go to various town to get to this produce so basically now we have ideas about this.
I don't want the last part. I didn't speak.
Okay, finish. And take started.
So now it's just put up with companies who are basically all the things I can just so one thing, two things are to increase efficiency and good morning. This is Edward. Okay.
Can you clap if you can do it?
Alright, so good morning. My name is Adidapo, and I also share with you some of our conversation. Okay, basically we spoke on the very important of technology transfer. Of course, in Nigeria, we have to change our immediate environment. One of the, I'd say, the very first thing which one of our programs mentioned was okay, so the need for innovation. He actually mentioned now if there wasn't any need for you to probably go for meals in particular, I don't think there would be growth on this campus, right? Exactly, and that's why I don't know how it was started. I was never really figured out when it was started, why we are certified as a school today. But I'm sure, and of course, I think we all know that our HG president has an influence on the amount being charged. I hope you know that.
Yes, sir.
I have a close association with him, so I do. Okay, so basically, if there's no need for innovation, like there wouldn't be a reason why we should transfer technology. I don't see a reason why I should work with you, basically. And then, okay, from home, started an instance of, okay, personally, I spoke about that. Now, I intern in a mechatronics organization. And yesterday, this is a very recent experience. I was having to go shopping for raw materials for fabrications and some other things. And then I found it really stressful because I'm the same person who is going to be doing fabrication. I'm the same person who is going to be running the programming. The things you don't see. I said an example of a smart house. I think you all know smart house technology. Smart house. Do we? Yeah. Okay, I don't think so many people do. Alright. Now, smart house system, okay, I think you should have seen movies where you just see people just control how the light turn on in the house. Like, yeah, that's what we call it smart house. You see speakers embedded in the walls and they can literally use your phone to control it. I think we can live with that. Yeah. Alright, definitely that's what you talk about when you say smart house. So basically now I'm going to be able to work with certain raw materials that necessarily I don't have to be the one going for the purchase. And then we discovered yesterday that some of these materials are even more expensive in Akure than it is in some other part of the country where our head office happens to be. Now, that means there will be a need for importing. And importing is good. Okay, that can do it. Alright. Okay, so basically, now we're going to be having a need to import some of these materials into this state because we have our larger facility here, so we can do all the major works here. So the need for technology transfer would require that I really would have to work with either a transportation company, which I believe we have here in Akure, and we can basically just work on the profit split. So that's one of the seeing the need, improving human life. Basically, technology is basically to make life easier for you. I can't imagine myself trekking down to this place every afternoon, emphasis on the afternoon. We all know how raging that sun can be all the time. So definitely there's a need for, I would use that because that's something we all here can relate with. We need transportation to actually move from one place to another. So the need for technology transfer is very imminent and demanding. What basically it's to make everything you do easier, basically, and of course to reduce cost and put that in the scenario of my own organization. I tell you, I'm not talking about tens of thousands here, right? Literally hundreds of thousands. We spend more purchasing raw materials from this state as regards to the place I want to mention. So Alright, so basically that's one of the things we had as a discussion. So I believe that's one of the major reasons why I believe technology transfer should be adopted in literally any sphere. I tell you, you can literally see a reason why you should work with one another. Right, of course, the very easy one is the back-end developer or working with different developer, right? I do work for designs also. I basically have to work with the back-end developer in whatever language of choice. So that's one of the things I mentioned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this one. So I think the key highlight is, you said the motivation for the technology transfer process is innovation, and then improving human lives being the benefits. Thank you so much.
Okay, good morning everyone. So we're able to discuss a couple of things in our group, and so the motivation, one of the major motivations of technology transfer is growth. So an economy thrives on growth. So and then we discussed the benefits, and one of it is commercialization and research. So you have an idea, definitely you would want to research on how you can actually transform this into profitable solutions like products or services. And that's one of the benefits of technology transfer. So we spoke about intellectual property. So if you have an idea, you can actually get a license, as the originator of this particular idea. So you can either get the trademark and get maybe patents or copyrights. And so, you know, the owner of this particular idea is being recognized. So technology transfer has actually helped us recognize the originator of ideas, solutions that has resulted into brands or startups. So also talk about partnership and collaboration. So I'm going to cite an example. Back then, when we were still using Blockbuster, so they were like the markets of that, they were like the chief of market, like they were the one ruling that particular sphere then in the 1990s. So they had about 3,000 locations across the world. So, but then the founder of what's this thing that we're using now, Netflix, came to meet the chief executive officer of Blockbuster. Can we collaborate? Can we do this thing together? But you know, he did not understand the idea, he did not understand the foresight that this particular person had, and he just laughed. And so the partnership or collaboration did not materialize. Then how many people still use this old rental cassette? Do you still go to rent these cassettes and start watching? What do you use now? Yes, so within a short period of time, they closed the market because they did not innovate, they did not accept this partnership and collaboration. So when you look at thriving brands now or thriving organizations, you will see that most of them, like what they are doing now is collaboration and partnerships. So this particular technology transfer has actually helped industries, helped startups, brands to grow. It has actually helped them because they were able to like understand their weaknesses, they understand their strengths, and they're able to come together to do what? To do something beautiful together. So we also talk about knowledge dissemination. So I'm still going to set an example because this example will actually help you understand this thing better. Look at the issue of cash, this cashless policy. You know, there's some markets, these market women, they don't even know, some of them don't have bank accounts. Some of them don't know what it means, what OP means. They don't know all this online transaction application. They don't know about it. But when this cashless policy came, that is why most of them started knowing about OP, knows about. If you ask this malam, they don't know, some of them don't have accounts. So people were now like passing the knowledge to them that you can actually do this, you can do that to make life very easy. So one of us also saw a tweet online that short people want to start using technology as a form of payment, and some people were laughing at them like it was kind of funny. So that short people, but some years back, even if they know about POS system, they may not really have this knowledge on how to operate it. But because of technology transfer, somebody somewhere, an organization would have just walked up to them and tell them, even you as their, should I call you clients or customer, that patronize them every day. So when I'm like, okay, now use OP or use POS to just make life very easy for everybody. And you can now start asking questions that, how can we do this, how can we do that, then you can then explain to them. So that way you've been able to disseminate knowledge into these people. So one of the major benefits of technology transfer is knowledge dissemination, ability to be able to pass knowledge across to these people. And I think another one is innovation. Somewhere we talk about commercialization and research. I don't know if I've mentioned that. Commercialization and research, that talk about how that you have an idea, this and that, and you're able to make research, then you turn it into products or services. So innovation also comes in. Imagine those days when people would have to use their legs or camel to go to Akure or Lagos. You know how many days that is going to take them. But because somewhere out there were able to recognize this particular problem, and it was not immediately that somebody just brought about aeroplane. Definitely there was already should I say, all this old school kind of car. Then somebody was able to think that, okay, now that we have car, because there was already an existing solution, now that we have a car, how can we do it that people can get to their destination in the next 30 minutes, in the next 1 hour? And somebody brought about aeroplane. So technology transfer has actually helped innovation. It has actually helped innovation. So it is not like the solution is not existing. It has been existing before, but somebody was able to think that, how can we make this better? So that's one of the benefits of technology transfer. So there are various benefits, even to the clothes that we wear, this towel. Those days, you know how trousers can be. I know you can relate with that one. How trousers can be, or how it can be very stressful for fashion designers to market their products or services. Then they use show glass. Now show glass has turned into Instagram. Yes, isn't it? Yes, you can even go to some of their websites, see their catalog. You can easily message. You can just check their business number on WhatsApp, then check their catalog. You don't have to necessarily display clothes. You don't necessarily have to go and buy all these. What do you call it? I don't want to call it anyway.
Manicure.
Yes, manicure. That is display clothes. Or people can now do things from the comfort of their home and still serving the community. I think I'm able to pass this message across to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Triumph has an announcement to make, and then we're going to the next session.
So online, we didn't really talk too much, but at least I think that what we discussed is actually very important. So the three major things that was said from the discussion virtually is number one, as much as we keep talking about technology transfer, talk about collaborations and the rest of it, we need to adjust our minds to the fact that you have to have licensing. One way or the other, if you have a technology product or you have a technology process that one other person can benefit from through partnerships, you have to ensure that there's the licensing. Everybody talks about intellectual property, how nobody can steal something that you came up with or something that you're using or a particular platform. So we're all young persons, and as much as we talk about this, you cannot overemphasize the fact that you have to protect your product. You have to protect whatever it is that you're doing. That's one. Secondly, someone contributed as to collaborations between the African countries. You know how we all have different cultures, we all have different things that happen in each country, right? Now, to have something that cuts across all the African countries at least is something that is important. And I know that my response to that was that African EU as a project would ensure that these conversations is something that will take further. At least at the end of the project in 2024, we'll be able to say that, oh, okay, we were able to come up with something that cuts across all African countries to ensure sustainability. Now remember I said three things that I really want to talk about based on what we discussed. First off, I've talked about intellectual property licensing, and then I've talked about this collaboration between all the African EU countries as to technology transfer process. Now, that contribution came as a result of a question that was, how do we ensure sustainability? Because a lot of times, new products will come up every day, new technology will come up every day. But one way or the other, trends and all of that, it fizzles out, right? And then you see that it's not sustainable. Something that you knew about a month ago, or how many weeks ago, in about a year, it's fizzled out, it's elapsed, because either it's a case of, oh, it was not properly, all of the things that come around technology transfer. So, as much as possible, the things that you guys do, working with hubs and the rest of it, you have to put into mind sustainability of whatever product, whatever technology transfer that you're doing. And again, just to say a few things from the first speaker, that successful collaboration between academia, private sector, and government is something that will help to promote sustainability, because academia is not going anywhere, government is not going anywhere. So probably it's a case of private sector, but then if this private sector knows what they're doing, one way or the other, there will be that sustainability. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Passionate about talents, future of work, and the workspace entirely. So by grade, I'm a computer scientist. I studied computer science in school from Federal University of Technology, Akure, the host campus for today's event. And then I have a master's in artificial intelligence in the University of Berlin in Germany. And I am currently working as a talent development manager and the founder of Future Academia Africa. And aside that, I'm doing a lot of work with not-for-profits in the EdTech space across the continent. If you look at my work over the years, it has been around talent, it's been around people, it has been around technology. So if I am not going into rural areas in Africa, trying to expose kids to STEM, I am placing talent on jobs. And on the side, I am consulting to help an organization position myself for the future of work and help talent transition. So that puts me in a space where I can talk about this topic a bit. I am always very careful when I speak to people in the academia and people in this space about anything technology transfer, because I'm like the bridge between the generation that really wants to work, code, do stuff, and the people that have already had existing solutions and processes and pipeline, and they might really get affected by this transfer. So that's the context at which I was speaking today. And my talk will be very short, and then I'll take questions depending on what the organizers think. So I'm speaking about technology transfer mechanism. And again, I was speaking from a talent standpoint. So I understand that a group of people hearing me today, you are either talents working in this space. Like talents, I mean, so people confuse talents for being talented, right? But by talents, I mean you are creative in one form or the other. The other set of people are entrepreneurs and leaders. That is, you either lead a not-for-profit or you own one, or you lead in a firm, in a business, or you own one. Then the academia, and then other stakeholders. Please, if there's a set of people in this conversation that I have not addressed, I really would like to know now. Online, you could put it up in the chat. Offline, you could just voice it out so that I get it. Because I really want to carry everybody along in my talk. Have I fully identified everybody in the room? You are either a leader or founder of a not-for-profit. You are either a leader or the founder of a business or an enterprise, or you are in the academia or a stakeholder in the academia in whatever capacity possible. Any other person, any other group of people that have not identified?
We also have students.
All right, students. Yes, I mentioned talents, right? So talents, then students. Okay, so we're in 2023. Probably I will start from there. Thank you, Andy. 2023 is the last time ever you should introduce yourself as a student. And why? If you were born and you lived in the 1700s or the 1500s, technology advancement then was so slow. Now we are calling it slow in comparison to what's happening right now. It wasn't slow, it was normal for people that lived in those times. But if you look at it from today's perspective, it was slow. And this is what I mean. If you were born in 13 to 1700s, you will probably, and you live a good old age, so let's say, if you lived 100 plus years, you probably lived and died the way things were. That is, when you were born, the way people were farming is the way they were farming when you died. When you were born, the way people were transporting themselves was the way people were transporting themselves when you died. So technology was advancing like once every century, or probably twice every century. And technology cuts across everything. So technology in communication, in way of life, in culture, in agriculture, in business enterprise, in leadership, that's the way it works. Now, fast track to 2022 actually, post-COVID, and now that we're in 2023, if you work in an organization where the founders or the founding team want to stay at the top of technology in everything they do, that is, they want to actually use the latest software, the latest process, the latest mechanism, the latest styles that technology is giving them to really advance what they are doing. Now, I'll say that organization must be really funded for them to want to do that. You are going to change your job 14 times in 2 years. I don't know if I've been able to think that really well. That needs to sink. I tell everybody, that needs to sink. If you work in Amazon, in Tesla, in companies that have raised lots of money and have enough money to use the latest technology and to push their processes based on technology advancements for time, whatever job role you are put in, you will have to change it 14 times in 2 years. So in 2023, if you are introducing yourself as a student, you are actually taking yourself out of the future workplace. And all this technology transfer process does not really apply to you. And somebody goes ahead and says, well, I'm a student, right? Okay, you don't have the luxury of time to only be a student. So you have to change that thinking. You have to be a front-end web developer going to school, not a student doing front-end. Because there is no luxury of time to be students. Now, I place talents in jobs, right? I'm on interviews and on recruitment processes in Portugal, in France, in Germany, in the US, in Canada. I'm on calls every time. I'm on travels. You are not competing with that guy that has just finished learning big data and wants to be employed, or somebody that just finished learning machine learning and is at entry level. You are competing with the 100,000 super layoffs that happened in H2 of 2022, that is in the second half of 2022. 100,000 senior, by the time I say senior, I'm talking about people with 7 years and above. 100,000 plus senior engineers, senior talents were laid off. And these people are either reskilling or upskilling right now to come back into the market. So you are submitting a CV that you graduated in 2021, and you just learned some things in 2022, and you want a job in 2023. And you are submitting that CV and resume and portfolio to an organization that has 40 other people that have these talents and have been working for the past 4 years. Which are you going to choose if you are a founding team? So your 5 years in school, your 6 years in school, your 4 years or 7 years, depending on the course of study and the pace at which you're able to study, is a complete waste. If everything you do throughout those times is studying, just switch the mentality a little. Some people say, okay, so are you saying we should drop out from school? No, I am building a university at the moment, so I do not think people should drop out. I am going to start PhD. I'm going to complete the PhD and probably have many more. But yeah, maybe the world does not care about that, but that is where we are in the world right now. And then that brings us to the topic. So when you look at technology transfer processes, before the advent of the technology we have today, Technology transfer processes is just very simple, right? And it's mechanism. The ability to take a knowledge base from one sector, or one country, one domain, and apply it to another domain of expertise. That's just a simple thing. But it's no longer simple when you are having to deal with artificial intelligence, when you're having to deal with IoTs, when you're having to deal with big data. Right now, we celebrate people with oil wells. I mean, that's, if you give me oil wells today and made, oil well is still one of the biggest blessings anyone could have. But in a couple of years, we'll be celebrating, we are already celebrating it, but not on mainstream. We'll be celebrating data warehouse, like how much data do you have? Because data is the new oil. And let's take medicine, for example. There is this particular, I've gotten the name now. There is this particular antibiotics. Oh my God, what's the name? That AI was able to create. And these antibiotics right now is like the most powerful antibiotics in the world, and it was created by AI. Antibiotics, I'm not talking of e-antibiotics, I'm talking of an actual pill, like a drug. Like we call it in Nigeria, it's called a drug, right? The medication. So this was created by AI in 6 to 8 months. And the best of biotechnologists, pharmacists, people that work in the health sector, put in the room, fully funded by the United Nations and World Health Organization, aim to be able to create that particular medication in 6 years. But AI was able to run through data, AI was able to run through domain expertise, AI was able to put everybody's mind together and create patterns in algorithm and brought it out in 6 months. And if you are a leader here, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are like a stakeholder, I don't need to start telling you why we should employ machines over humans. The reasons are very, very basic. Machines don't go on board with the days. Machines don't ask for salary raise. Machines don't create sexual things in the office. Machines don't open the WhatsApp group that is not in. Machines, you can just go on and on and on and on and on. When a machine stops working for you, you are sure it stops working for you. It does not carry the domain expertise to another organization. A machine does not have a labor union and on. So people say machines are taking our jobs. Machines are learning from us. So at a point, you want to worry about transferring the knowledge expertise, a domain of knowledge from one, transferring an expertise from one domain to the other. But machines is actually even doing that. Machines is taking all, you spend all time on your device, right? And there are lots of machines in the cloud learning from you and learning how to do it, and they're storing that data to be able to produce something that you need. So that, of course, that brings up the question, should we be scared? There are no jobs, human beings will be reduced to nothing. That's the whole thing of the entire report. What we're talking about here is, it is time for reskilling. 135 million more people are going to lose their jobs. And I hope you know that a lot of these data, people that lose their jobs due to the advent of technology, big data, IoT, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. Africa is not recorded. So when you hear 100,000, it's about some Southern American side and some part of the United States. So when you look at it on a global level, it is affecting a lot of us here. And it is affecting businesses, it's affecting organizations. Your own organization that you spent a lot of time building, that you spend a lot of passion and energy and sleepless nights building. One single bot that 3 boys from Japan is building would replace everything you're doing. And all your partners, all your funds, all your donors, all your stakeholders are going to find it easier to work with that bot and pay $180 a month than work with you. So what should you be worried about is the technology trend. We cannot overemphasize that you should, as a talent, and I'm speaking to talents, you should always upskill and skill, whatever side you're in, whatever part of talent development or talent expertise you are existing. Always know what's happening in the trend. Always don't get attached to any job role right now because you need the ability to close and put a particular job role to bed. There was a time, that is where AI can learn from us. That's where and how we could be in the room where all these conversations are taking place. Because from a technology standpoint, you would think the way technology transfer process is going to work, people that know, we think the way it's going to work is that, okay, we'll sit down and then we'll say, oh, how can technology help us? Well, all those conversations are still 1999, right? The way it is done right now is that 4 guys and girls funded by some organization do not have a domain expertise in the area they are trying to reinvent with AI, big data, and IoT. Starts creating bots, that starts scrapping data, and then they invite the best, and I've told you what the best means to them. More than anything right now, information is what makes anybody or organization lead above the other organizations. And these people are going to be divided in the room to create what is going to happen. So Toshiba created this AI machine that can take safe delivery for pregnant women. And if you, I'm trying to put that in context because if you think about it, like 8 years ago, where AI, UX design, mindset, and started entering the space, you would have thought that the company that will create that machine would be probably Johnson & Johnson's or Pfizer's or the organizations that do stuff around the medical space. But see, it's Toshiba that's leading. Does Toshiba know anything about mothers and pregnancy? No. But they have the AI expertise, they have the data. A lot of women use Toshiba products and their bots on these products are taking their data. They know when the user is pregnant, they know how often they interact with their products, and this data is used to build this machine. But in the room building these machines were health experts. Health experts like doctors, health experts like midwives, health experts like mothers who have had multiple children with different men or multiple children at the same time, mothers that have had different kind of birth complications at different times that they gave birth. And all of these people were brought in the same room to create this machine. And Toshiba is leading that, not Johnson & Johnson, not Pfizer, not, I don't know the other health companies, not Vichan, not the drug companies. And I also think the antibiotics thing was not done by a pharmaceutical company. So it was done by a group of students in MIT that worked with John to speak. So it's big. It's more of a call to intensity of work and to results, and a call to rethinking. One of the biggest things we need as stakeholders is to rethink everything we've ever known. If in 2023 job roles are changing 14 times every 2 years, what do you think is happening to businesses? Businesses and the way businesses are supposed to be done are probably changing more than 40 times. Okay, let's be realistic. People are not going to move at the highest pace of technology because that data I gave is if your company is moving at the highest pace of technology. So that means you're working in Google, or you're working in the US government, or you're working with Microsoft, or Shell, or CTOI, and all of that. So let's come to the average companies that are there. It's still going to happen 5 times every 2 years. So businesses, the way you do a business, the way you approach a process in your organization, the way you approach a style, the way you do your research is going to change. Worst case scenario, you change 5 times every 2 years, and you don't want to be left back. One thing you can never go wrong doing, because it looks like what do we really do? How do we take it up from there? One thing that you can never really go wrong doing is documentation. You have to document your every process. Tiniest of processes. How you get your vendors, how you deliver your service, how you deliver quality across different times. Because that's data. That is data that we really neglect. So an organization is trying to reach out to young people in Africa and train them in leadership. And let us know the difference in how we're going to train 800 people from Uganda. In my travel across Africa, training talents, Future Academy Africa right now has 5,007 talents from 19 African countries. And I've been to quite a number of African countries, and I've seen that empathy is one of our greatest tool in delivering technology education to young people. We've seen that no matter how empathetic you are, Uganda is going to demand a different kind of empathy for you to deliver the program to Ugandans. When I'm in Rwanda, they needed to be approached a different way. Now, in Nigeria is such a diverse market. The way you talk to undergraduates in the Southwest is different from the way you approach undergraduates in the North. It's different from the way you address undergraduates in the South. But you go like, I'm trying to help these people. If they can't learn, if they can't, then we go away. No, that's not the way it's done. Because if you're not empathetic and documenting your process, and AI is going to find out, and the license is going to be sold to different new organizations that will impact them more. And even though you had good intentions, great intentions, there was nothing, there was no data, there was no domain that you had actually written down or recorded that can be transferred to these processes. Your organization, I don't have a very calm way to say it, it's really going to die. Nobody's going to care that it existed. I think at this point I have been talking too much. I will take questions if there are questions or whatever the organizers feel is needed. I just want to make sure people understand what I'm saying, and I have not gone a lot of course. Artificial intelligence. But this is what I want you to do after this call. I want you to Google AI and YouTube AI, or Google artificial intelligence and YouTube it and consume as much tons of information. And then in the next 2 or 3 weeks, you probably have 300 GB of information in your brain about what AI really is, because that's a whole topic on its own. But the ability of something that is not human to be able to take the intelligence of humans and non-humans based on threads, models, and patterns, and create new patterns out of it. That's what AI is in simple terms. Talking about the trend on IoT, big data, artificial intelligence, machine learning on computer hardware and hardware processes is the future is wearable. And by wearables, hardware will exist for a long time, just like every other thing. But the thing is, it will change. So in simple terms, an hardware is a part of the computer that you can see, and it will continue existing, but it becomes wearable. The bigger something is, the higher the chances that it will not be in existence in the next few years. So everything that is big right now, everything that you need to carry around, everything that you need to communicate with when it comes to computing systems and computer hardware will always be scaled down to something that can be worn. And by wearables, I mean, wearables as basic as something you wear on neck, leg, shoulders, waist, whatever, to something that is implanted, that is something that is put in the body or a particular or human body. So it is implanted on plants, dogs, houses, humans, cars, and all that. So the future is wearable, where wearables include implants and external light objects that communicate. So the other question of what can we do to stay on top of this, I want you to, if you are there, I'm not saying you are there, but if you are in the notion that AI has come to destroy jobs, AI has come to destroy human lives, and people lose their jobs, that's not the truth. Because the truth in itself is that AI is calling for upskilling and reskilling. Perfect example. If you flew in a plane in 2022 and the top airlines, not our local airlines here, I don't want to mention them here, the top airlines in the world, the chances that you are in a drone was very high. So let's say ABC Airline is one of the leading airlines in the world, that's my first name, because I don't mention any airline name. And then we flew from Lagos to New York recently, in the last 6 months. the chances that there was no pilot in that plane is very high. So, because, of course, you think about AI, you think about machine learning, you think about big data and everything that is making pilots lose their job. But look at it from the business standpoint. So, as a businessman that owns the airline, let's say the pilots I have to employ, instead of having 80 pilots to fly my 40 planes today, what I have is 4 pilots that are sitting down in the head office in New York, and they are controlling 80 flights today. Because these flights have routes, and this plane can take off and land by themselves, so they are just monitoring. Now, that is 76 pilots losing their jobs and losing their licenses. And they are losing it to machines, they are losing it to AI, they are losing it to all of these bots. So you get scared, like, oh, that means I'm going to lose my job, I'm going to lose my business, I'm going to lose my organization. But what pilots should be doing, or pilots should have done, of which is not too late to start, is to understand the strengths of the area and position themselves for it. So you might have thought that 80 pilots have lost their jobs right now. But what has really happened is that over 100 people have been employed as embedded system designers. Over 100 people have been employed as hardware engineers. Over 10 pilots have actually been employed as people to train the model, to train the AI, to be able to fly planes. So it is not a job, it is not a fear for loss of jobs. It is a call to reskill and upskill. It's a call to learn. It is a call to, and sometimes we confuse that what we will be learning is the same thing that are doing. No, it's probably in a different field. That's why I said upskill or reskill. Upskill happens when you look at your area of business or your area of work as a talent and you look at the trends. Nobody is doing anything really smart. Like when I say nobody, I'm not absolute, except you are Elon Musk. Probably it's just 1% of the population and there's doing something nobody has done before. And the chances that you never see the light of day is very high. The chances that you're in that 1% of the population also is really, really very low. The regardless of what your education is very low. Now, if you are able to be patient enough and humble enough and learn about how people in this your field of domain are using technology to advance the course of what you're doing, you might find out that even though what you're doing is around education, you need to start reskilling yourself around machine learning. Because when the pilots, using the pilots in our example, when the pilots worried about this, I actually sat down about upskilling or reskilling his or herself. It's not going to do that in fine planes. It's going to do that in probably product management. So a pilot that has like a skill in product to product is hypothetical. He has flown 19,000 hours. He has all of this kind of jets under his belt. He knows how to train an AI to be able to do that. So in his own case, he needs to reskill, that is, drop the skill that he's learning, not completely drop, might still working his fellow job, but start picking up another skill. In some people's cases, we just need to upskill. Like if you're a leader of an organization, doing in that area is upskilling. That is understanding that this is what strategy will look like, this is what implementation will look like, this is what goals will look like in the nearest future. And this is where I need to do, this is the course I need to take, this is the skill I need to learn, this is the kind of people I need to hire to make that happen. Did I answer the question?
Yes, I believe you did. We have more questions. So I'll start with, if we're going to evolve and jump on the AI trend, what organizations are there giving opportunities to, one, learn these trends in a way, not just to be aware of these technologies, but implementing them to create sellable products that will solve our indigenous problems, and 2, what organizations are providing funding to drive these solutions to the public. Do you want to take that? Because there are 2 questions, and, so that you don't lose your. I think.
Okay. So, first, Google is your friend. ChatGPT is your friend. ChatGPT is free. If you have some money, you can pay for the free part, but it's free. In the first week of the release of ChatGPT, I had like a 2-hour conversation with ChatGPT about my work and what I was doing. And one of the disadvantages of AI is that AI is probably not able to create AI now. It's probably not able to create new products. And this is what I mean. If studying different domain expertise in the world, if AI is able to create, if AI is able to recognize that, oh, that only 3% something is done, let's name them pattern A, pattern B, pattern C. But what AI can do, which is really difficult for humans, so take more time for humans, is it can learn from A, B, and C and create pattern ACB, pattern BC, pattern AAA, pattern AACB, right? But AI is not there yet. So it's getting there to create pattern G, that is a completely novel pattern that does not totally rest on the existing patterns. And that is one advantage humans still have. So when you talk to, when you Google is best friend. Google is your best friend. So even if you don't have best friend, you need to Google AI trends in your domain. You have 100 answers for 100 different people in 100 different domain expertise. So how is AI education in rural communities? How is AI helping education in Africa? How is AI helping program delivery in the public sector? All of these things, information you have to read about it. 2 is talk to an AI itself. Somebody says, oh, how do you, I remember I had a class where I walked people through a personal chat with ChatGPT. What ChatGPT has offered you is, ChatGPT is connecting you to the brain of the world, to be able to see what you do. And putting that bit out, which means that the intelligence in which you use to relate to an artificial intelligence system is probably that same level of intelligence is going to respond to you back. So 2 of us in different domain expertise are going to talk to AI about our domain and we'll get different answers because of how we interact. And how we interact is even first a pointer into how much we know in that space, which is why I say Google is your friend first. Taking all the information about how AI big data analytics is disrupting the space and machine learning, then give that information to ChatGPT and have an extensive chat. Like this is what you do, this is what you've been able to achieve. Break it down step by step, like you're chatting with a human, like you're chatting with somebody that is your senior in that field and not your just opinion. Take it step by step. Hello, my name is this. And this is what we do. This is what we achieve. This is what do you think about AI? What other trends are we doing? How do we deliver this better? Do you think we are doing something great? Can you explain back to us? I tell ChatGPT to do that many times. Like, this is what I'm doing. Can you explain it back to me? What are other people doing in this space? How does it really affect Africans? Now, it doesn't mean that ChatGPT is God. It doesn't mean that what it says is yes and final. But it already exposes you to what you should think. Trust me, doing those two in a week, do it every day in a week, something is going to change about how you approach your business, how you approach your organization, and how you want to change your goals and direction to be able to fit for the future. And when all these technology transfer processes and mechanisms are finally complete, which they will never be complete, you are not part of the people that went down the drain.
Thanks. We have two more. This is someone asking for clarification on documenting processes. But then as a follow-on, I think this question will help shed more light on what the person is trying to find out. So you talked about documenting our processes because that is the data that we neglect. My question is, how does that give us an edge, since a lot of people, businesses, organizations focus more on the end results?
Okay, that's a brilliant one, and that's the problem we're trying to address. You see that a lot of organizations focus on end results. It's an assumption actually. It's a myth. The biggest of organizations, and I am not talking of big in crude ways, especially in the African space, where people got big because of, being into unnecessary nepotistic circles, right? People that have gotten big based on the intensity of work done and based on results. The myth is that organizations do not focus on the end result. In fact, they're not focusing on the end result. You are the one praising them for the end result. The biggest of organizations, if you've ever worked with the UN, if you've ever even worked with African, there should be a documentation staff, there should be a documentation partner. This is what we are doing, this is what else. You will build an organization or a career wrongly because you'll be thinking you are doing this. That's not what you're really doing. And people can see what you're really doing. They're focusing on the result and they're trying so many things. Documentation helps you see it. Documentation helps you learn about yourself. At the end, you get your result faster than you thought you get it, and quicker than you thought you get it. Or you fail, and you fail with a lot of knowledge. Whichever happens, that process is going to be needed when AI comes to your space. You may just be one of the few that has all this documentation that qualifies for the intensity of work. And documentation is like opening a Google Docs for every department, opening a Microsoft Word document for every department to contribute.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions? I think I'll take one more question. Well, good. Thank you so much, Titon, for your time. I think key takeaways for us from this session is to continue to upskill and reskill ourselves because technology is going to continue to advance. And in as much as we're saying that AI, machine learning, and everything will take our jobs, if you're not putting yourself in the place or position to fit into the advancement, that's when you have a problem. And also document is very important. Thank you so much, Tito, for your time. And to everybody who has joined us online and has stayed with us from the beginning up until now, we have come to the end of today's workshop. I believe that today, I'll give one person the opportunity to do that. Anybody? No. Do you have anyone online that would like to share? So for those of us who are here physically, if you look behind the program that has been shared, you'll see there's a calendar of events that are still happening. This year we have 2 events in April hosted by our partners. We have one in May hosted by ECA. In June, there are also 2 events hosted by our partners. Feel free to join. And if you signed up for the event, you continue to get emails from us and we'll be sharing all of these events with you as they come and as they happen. We're going to take a family picture of everybody here. I'm thinking of the best way because we want to, we'll take one shot with you guys online and so a screenshot, and then we'll take one. Turn your cameras for those who are still online. I would like to take a screenshot. Thank you very much. See, next time starts getting so arranged for the picture. I'll just take one quick shot.
Please, photographer, if you arrange us now, let's know what to do.
Come this way, please.
Take one where you look like professional picture, they'll take another one where everybody like, no one's Gen Z.
Alright, let's go. Alright.
So can we... Yeah, everybody, let's smile and take our not so...
Everyone say Chinese!
Chinese!
Say Chinese! Let us teach you. Say Chinese!